Okay, hi everybody, I've just left home, so my first stop is Kalgoorlie, which is about 6.5-7 hours drive away, 690 kilometres. So next stop Kalgoorlie, I'll be there hopefully by about 5-6 p.m. tonight, so I can set up camp nice and early. So I'll catch you there, nothing in between. Time for me to start taking this drive a little bit more seriously. I'm going to keep pushing to Kalgoorlie. I don't think I'll be tired when I get to Kalgoorlie, and there's not much for me to do there besides grab something to eat and drive on. So I'm going to drive about 100 to 200 kilometres past there. I'll find a truck stop on the side of the road, and my intention is to just pop the rooftop tent up, have a sleep, wake up early, keep driving in the morning until I get just past Laverton and I start to air down on the Great Central Highway. Then I'll have breakfast and a cup of coffee once I get there. Okay, I've just aired the tyres down. I've just got onto the Great Central Highway, so I passed through Laverton early this morning. I slept about 200 kilometres east of Kalgoorlie last night. Just when I got tired, or was starting to get tired, I pulled over, popped the tent up on the roof and went to bed. In Australia's dusty centre, a remote ribbon of red dirt provides a surprisingly beautiful shortcut between tourist hotspots Kalgoorlie in WA and Uluru across the NT border. Stretching 1,400 kilometres and occupying travellers for around 5 to 7 days, this outback route sets out from Laverton and finishes up in Uluru before the road turns into the Plenty Highway to take you further east to the Queensland border. The Great Central Road takes any willing adventurer across Australia's largest desert as it weaves through a colourful landscape where camels, kangaroos, wild horses and dingoes roam. The route offers overnight bush camping stops in crumbling painted canyons near remote rock art caves or beside unlikely waterholes where major Mitchells or budgies congregate raucously after annual rains. The road conditions vary from soft and dangerous bulldust patches, corrugations, potholes, soft sandy creek crossings, floodways and hard rocky rises to navigate through. Vehicle and trick preparation is crucial when crossing this remote stretch of Australia, and permits are required in advance. Along the road, there are many points of interest, often with informative panels that enhance your understanding of the area. Among these are the nama or water holes that are found on the breakaways and the mesas that are scattered across the landscape. Obviously, the sources of water are of great importance to local wildlife and were critical for survival for Aboriginal tribes and later white explorers moving across the land. I've pulled up along the Great Central Highway just to check my satellite reception, make sure everything's good with it. But I'm at a place called White Cross. I don't know, I haven't seen anything advertised about it. I don't know what it's about yet. But I thought I'd get out and stretch my legs. There's a lot of nice scenery around, so I'm going to have a walk and just break the drive up a little bit, as you should, and then I'll keep going. I'll maybe have some lunch here and then keep going shortly. The White Cross that you see on top of this hill was erected by Aboriginal Christians in 1991 as a reminder to all who pass of Jesus Christ's sacrifice on the cross, which Christians believe brings forgiveness, healing, hope and everlasting life to humanity. With shade water and an abundant food source, this area has given life and spiritual sustenance to humans for thousands of years. Today it remains a symbol of hope for all humanity into the future. The cross is made predominantly of mulga, which was the Aboriginals' most used as timber source in the time. So this is the kind of dust trail that you'll get from outside of probably about 150 k's west of Warburton, between 1 and 150. Just saw this sort of gorge. It goes right along for a couple of kilometres. So the flies are horrendous, but I've found a place here. There's not much firewood, so I don't know if I'll have a fire. We'll see what happens. But I thought I'll camp here for tonight. I'll try and get the car onto some flat ground and set up camp while it's light, and just sort of finish doing what I wanted to do. Like, there was a few things that I wanted to change last night, just where they're packed and that, so I can get easier access. So it gives me about 2-3 hours, probably 2 hours of light, to sort of just put a fine touch on everything. I'm in camp, just having a glass of port before the sun goes down. Then I'll cook some dinner. I've made friends. There's another couple that every time I stop they've been passing me, every time they stop I've been passing them, so I've been talking to them on the radio. They've camped about 50 metres away, so they camp below. We'll probably share the fire tonight, just so there's not much wood around anyway. So this is a typical camp spot, you know, everyone uses all the wood. So easy dinner for me tonight. Then I'm going to keep going through to Warburton in the morning. The flies have been horrendous, that's why I haven't filmed anything earlier. Could you just shed a little light, shed a little light, shed a little light on me? There's a camel up in the middle of the road in front of me. You'll see this one moves. Most of them do, they're pretty quick to get out of the way. There's so much wildlife along this road, it's amazing. He's a big boy. Oh, there's a couple. So I'll just make sure I stop and let these guys past. See if there's any more about to come out from the side. They usually, I've usually seen them in groups of sort of minimum 5 or 6. So these two might just be a couple of males or a breeding pair. Oh no, there's more onto the side. There we go. Awesome. I admire their strength and just their durability to survive in this kind of environment. Good on them. Kata Tjuta. It means many heads in Aboriginal pronunciation. It's also known as the Olgas to Westerners, and it's a large group of dome formations or born hearts that are located about 360 kilometres southwest of Alice Springs in the southern part of the Northern Territory in Central Australia. Uluru, which we know as Ayers Rock, is located 25 kilometres to the east of Kata Tjuta, and together they form the most major landmarks within the Uluru Kata Tjuta National Park. This park is considered sacred to Aboriginal and Indigenous Australians. The 36 domes that make up Kata Tjuta cover an area of approximately 21.7 square kilometres, and they're composed of conglomerate and sedimentary rocks consisting of cobbles and boulders and varying rock types, which include granite and basalt, and they are cemented by a matrix of sandstone. The highest dome, which we know as Mount Olga, is 1,066 metres above sea level, or approximately 540 or 550 metres above the surrounding plains. And it's actually 198 or 200 metres higher than Uluru. Kata Tjuta is located in the eastern end of the Dockaroo Road. Okay, so these people have just let their baby shit all over the ground. They've just left all their rubbish there, which I've just gone and told them to clean up. They left the baby's poo right in front of their car in the car park. And they're about to drive off and leave all the rubbish there. So that is why these people here are a perfect example of what's wrong with this place when you come out to Outback Australia. They just let their baby do a poo right beside the car park. There's a toilet just 50 metres up there. And they left all the pooey paper there until I told them to pick it up. So whoever you are, I hope you see this video. Shame on you, you're a slob. You're an absolute slob. I've still got more to show you, but please remember, if you haven't subscribed yet, tap that button in the bottom right hand corner of your screen. I've just walked down to consider walking up Ayers Rock, Uluru, and the climb is closed today due to strong winds at the summit. But if you look, the climb just leads straight up here, and there's a fence for people to follow and hold on to as they get to the top. So the climbing point starts obviously at the gate here and then goes straight up to the top. However, I'm still going to walk around it and it's still amazing. So after visiting Ayers Rock for a few hours and seeing what I wanted to see, I fueled up in Uluru and kept tracking east towards Alice Springs. I pulled up in this roadside 24-hour stopover for the night. This one had great view of the Olgas and I was surrounded by really friendly people. But it's worth mentioning that these stops are free of charge but usually very, very busy, especially during the tourist seasons or school holidays. So if you plan on having a campfire, stop a few kilometres before you get to the camp and collect wood to bring with you, as these types of stopovers have usually been pillaged of anything combustible for as far as you'd be willing to carry a log through the bush. So, as most of you will know, the Great Central Highway is just casualty after casualty with people's vehicles, mostly two-wheel drive. I haven't seen many four-wheel drives. But this one looks reasonably recent, and I personally can't imagine driving this car down this road, and this road's not even in bad condition at the moment, but something like that's never going to make it. Anyway, it's one of many I've seen and probably more to come. Welcome to the Henbury Meteorite crater site. The largest of these craters is about 180 metres wide and 15 metres deep. This site lays 140 kilometres south of Alice Springs in central Australia, and it was gorged out of the landscape around 4,700 years ago. Since then, 12 craters have been identified, and some not more than 6 metres wide and a few centimetres deep. Okay, like I said, last night I came to the Alice Springs Tourist Park. There's a Finks Desert Race, if anyone knows what that is. Finks, it's where quad bikes, motorbikes, Mad Max type buggies all get together and they race around the desert through Alice Springs. That's why Alice Springs and all the surrounds and the traffic in was quite busy. So here I am, Alice Springs Tourist Park. I've got my setup, rooftop tent. I'll give you a good look around my setup when I get to a different camp that's quieter. Ideally I installed all lighting into the tent, the awning, the back of the car, so that when I pull up all the lights are already plugged in and wired in, and I just plug 3 cords in as if you plug them into a power point. And my goal is to be set up in camp within 5 minutes of pulling up and be ready to hop in bed with the awning, everything out, kitchen, and I've achieved that. So, you know, it's all quite simple. I have the table in the back of the car also. Obviously, if I don't want to pull the table out, just the drop down here, which I'll put the proper trimming back on the car when I get home, but this was just temporarily for this trip, just to make it easy. Got to -1 degrees last night. It was absolutely freezing. I was lucky I put the electric blanket into the tent, had slept inside a sleeping bag underneath my doona and that, so I stayed quite warm, but any part of my body that was outside, such as my hands, if I tried to pick my phone up or anything, they would instantly get so cold that they would hurt. So very cold morning. I can understand why nobody is up. These people here travelling from New Zealand, they've boarded a car and they're travelling the opposite direction to which I travelled, so they're about to head across the Great Central. So good luck to them. Lovely people too. What I believe is probably Thanks for watching my first episode of My Way Off the Highway. The Red Centre episode is split into 2 parts. Part 2 will be released in a few days' time and will take you along the Plenty Highway to the amazing Jervois Station, Porcupine Gorge, and we even pop into a rodeo at Charters Towers to watch some cattle dog mustering. We pass through loads of cattle on the road and will soon be into Cairns where our 4-wheel drive adventures truly begin.